Dr. Stephen Lowe, Ryan Listerman, back with AdamRevival. Today we're going to talk about it's actually kind of a crazy subject, but it's factual. It's all backed up by stats. And I will refer you to the video. We'll even link it in this video. The video is called "Why 10 Million Men Have Given Up on Work." So check that out. You'll see all of the things that we're saying here are factually correct. They're backed up by stats. It's an ongoing, kind of pandemic, I would say. Why are men leaving the workforce? So, but before we get into that, we appreciate all the recent support. We're up to like 640 some viewers or subscribers now. So please like, share, and subscribe. We can't do this on our own. We're trying to bring men back to the biblical roots, back to their original purpose, and we're combating the lie of toxic masculinity. You got anything to add with that, Ryan, before we get into it?
Yeah, I know our last video, I did kind of talk about how the subscribers will start to compound now that we hit the 500 mark. We went, we added 120 in a week and a
Yeah,
half. That's
literally.
it's crazy how once you get past that mark where the voice gets out there. So yeah, these numbers that we're going to be talking about, I'd been like kind of fascinated these last few years of like everything I've been seeing and reading about the economy is that no one is like working. We can't find people to work, but there's job openings all over the place. But then people are saying they can't find a job, and then it's like, okay, what are people doing for work to make money? Because we have record inflation. I just like 4 years ago, we were getting all that free money and it kind of made sense why people weren't working for a time, but that's all long gone now. And now we're seeing $8 eggs. It's like, what's going on
Yeah.
with the workforce?
Yeah,
So
and we're kind of seeing just this trend of a gender swap in the roles, right, of the
yeah.
family. We're seeing a lot more stay-at-home dads. We're seeing a lot more college-educated women go into the workforce. And it's kind of shocking, to be honest with you.
Well, that's what's wild about these numbers in the video you referenced. So that's the thought. Like, okay, is it this? No, it's uh, households with children can't afford to have a stay-at-home parent anymore.
Right.
That's not the case. And it's actually not. What's fascinating is it's not married men that are not in the workforce. It's the unmarried single men and this is actually about a trend that's been going on for decades. That more and more men are just not applying for work and leaving the workforce, and it's the unemployment statistics. They don't track men that are institutionalized. They don't track um, men that are in the military. It's civilians. So this is or even people that are getting training. This is straight up like guys just not. And what are they doing? This is actually the surveys that are conducted to try and capture. It's hard to get all this data, but literally they're in front of screens. That's
Yeah.
it. It's not
Yeah.
like it's not like you think like, oh, maybe they're going to school, maybe they're helping out in the community, or maybe they're the stay-at-home dad. No, these are dudes that are just in front of the screen. And how are they surviving? They are actually a lot of them are tapping into the welfare system. They're able to get on disability. They're able to make just barely enough to just survive. Usually, they cohabitate with someone, whether it's a family member or
Or
possibly a
boyfriend.
girlfriend. Yeah.
Because these aren't
Um,
men, right? Like what?
yeah,
So what you've just described there, n none of those are men. Those aren't men. Those are little baby
exactly.
boys, who are dependent on, others. They're not, a man is independent. A man makes his own way. A
Yeah.
man provides for his family. A man has goals and he goes and accomplishes those goals. These are little baby boys who have listened to the propaganda that has told them that their natural feelings are bad. These are little baby boys that have let their own fears and low self esteem, which I don't even like that term self esteem, but their low self esteem compound in their minds and then subdue them. It's much
Yeah.
easier to sit in front of a screen and watch porn and play COD and smoke weed in their minds, right? And this is then to go out and get educated or to go out and work hard. And that turns into, depression, stress, self hatred. And ultimately, I would say, this is why we also see the rise in, non natural relations
Yeah.
in our youth.
And it's fascinating too. Like it's not specific to a demographic. It literally just comes down to is there a ring on his finger or not? Like
Hmm.
men that are married, this isn't a thing. Like this is not happening.
Right.
But if we notice the trend for marriage rates over the last 20 years is drastically decreasing. So
By
it's
design. By design.
yeah. So
Right.
it's in exactly, and it
So,
kind of it's been a gradual thing that's been happening since the 60s. Like COVID, I hate saying COVID because COVID it was lockdowns.
right.
Lockdowns and the lockdowns exasperated it, but this had been an ongoing trend. And it's one of those things like you think about what happened in the 60s as like the rise of feminism, the abortion, the
Oh yeah, all
pill,
of
like
that plays into this. All of that
yeah.
plays into this, right? And I will say, these are only problems that males, I won't call them men, these aren't men. I don't have patience for guys like that. Both you and I started and have been through the hardships in our lives, and we've clawed our way back up and worked our way back up. And guess what? You will never hear me say anything, but I am grateful for that.
Yeah.
But these guys have listened to the nonsense of feminism, which say men and women are equal, blah blah blah, and which has also affected the women. But mind you, now I work in law firms. The law firm that I'm currently at, we had a female partner. She made partner at the law firm because that's what society tells women to do. Go make partner and make all this money and blah 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 blah. Well, a few years into being partner, she had two kids and then she literally decided I don't want to do this anymore. I want to just be with my children
Yeah.
because that's where
Yeah.
women are most happy. They're most happy at home raising their children, nurturing their children, and supplementing their husband. On the flip side, we have little baby boys who are entirely dependent and they need mommies, and that's what they do. They look for the mommy, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of women that respect a guy like that, so they end up with daddies instead of mommies because society also says that's cool, right?
And it's a very it's unfortunate is it's a very common thing in the manosphere, which is like kind of the male YouTube content creator space, to blame it on feminism as it's not anything that we can control. Like you talked about the female partner at your law firm. As soon as
Yep.
she got a dose of the natural order of you know
Hmm.
what her actual like DNA drives her to do, she's left that feminism alone. So it's like if the
Right.
feminism exists because we're weak, that's
Yep.
it.
Yep.
As soon
And
as
well,
as soon as a man shows up and is strong, confident, and a leader, the feminism disappears. Everyone, it's like, oh, the feminism exists because we're weak.
because feminism is nothing more than delusion, right? It maybe have had
Yeah.
honorable roots in first wave feminism. Yes, women should have
I will
equal
say
rights under the law. Go ahead.
it's not a delusion, and I've made this point in previous videos. It's like women are survivors; they're natural survivors. Like I think their survivor instinct is much stronger than men. It's a reaction to like weak feminism is a reaction to weakness in men in
It is.
the society
It,
because
it is.
they're like, well, if the guys aren't going to step up and go to work and provide, I got to do it because I'm
Right.
not going to let my children starve. you
Right.
know?
Well, it's that, but I'm talking more to the ideology of anything up and beyond equal rights under
Yeah.
the law, right? Because that's what
Yeah. Yeah.
feminism was. First wave feminism was yes, and yes, we can all agree that women deserve equal rights under the law. Of course, that's honorable, that's biblical. Um, Everyone has their own independence and liberty, but anything beyond that, we're in like third wave feminism now, and it's now just cut your
Yeah.
breasts off and hate men, dye your hair pink and be fat and hideous. So that's literally where we are. So we need to
Yeah.
reject that as a whole, and we need to promote families again, right? The
Yeah.
family is so instrumental. You know, we're coming into an election season, Ryan, where we're a couple weeks away from one of the most pivotal elections in human history, maybe the most pivotal. And you go, government is important, right? Government is important. Well, do you know what the very first government was that God created?
It was the family,
It was the family. It was the family, and it
the
was
father and the mother.
and we need to get back to that very first government. We need to start reinvesting back into that very first form of government, which is the family.
Yeah.
Man, woman, child. And the God umbrella goes God, Jesus, man, woman, child, right? And we have to get
Yeah.
back to that. If we want things to get back into order, we have to make men men again, and we can only do that by calling the wimps wimps, calling the simps simps, and the cucks cucks. Get away from your TV screens, get away from your COD, get away from your 7 days to live. Get away from all these things. Moderation is fine. If that's your thing, you can do it in moderation. But if it's consuming you and it's pulling you away from
Yeah.
advancing in your life, you are failing yourself, and you are failing, a potential family. You're useless, bro. You're entirely useless, and you're a drain on society. And we have to condemn that. We have to.
Absolutely. No, it's we have the ability to stop all this. It's like it's on us.
Yep.
We can stop it. We can change as soon as men start producing again and being men in the
And
workforce.
the comment section, we're gonna have all the fat blue hairs in the comment section. They're all gonna be like, oh, these guys are misogynist and blah blah blah. They hate women and they don't want women to work. That's not what we're saying. We do want women to work, right? But
Yeah.
women, the first and foremost, above and beyond work, women should be promoted back into motherhood, into being a wife.
and I and I will like in my take has always been kind of like I feel bad for the women because it's like there's
Of
not a
course you
lot of
do.
dudes to go around, so
Right.
it's like
Right.
it's almost like the fat blue haired woman. I don't want to argue with her. I want us to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry
Right.
that you live
Yeah.
in this
No.
culture that you don't have
I agree
a
with you
man in
because
your life.
men have let you down.
Yeah,
Men are the leaders of this world. They're the leader of the first
yeah,
form of government. They're the leader of the household, right? And we see the disaster that comes from, a cuck, a simp, uh maybe a false worshiping man, let his wife lead his household. We've seen the disaster of that. Let that woman
yeah,
raise your son and see what he becomes, bro. Right? Right?
yeah,
Because you don't have the male leadership qualities necessary to protect your wife from her own ungodly desires and whatnot, or false
yeah.
godly desires. So,
Absolutely. No,
but
yeah, that's
so
perfect. I'm dead on.
so we're coming up here. Let's wrap this one up. Let's keep it short. You got a
Yep.
last piece of advice on what men should do, and what can we do as individuals, as a collective, to combat this weak, soy, useless type of male that is being produced
Three
by the
things.
first world.
Three things. If you're having trouble dating, as a man, don't give up. There's three things you can do: pray, go to the gym, and hone your skills in the job market.
I have nothing further to add. I agree with you
Yeah.
100%. Pray, go to the gym, and hone your skills to get into the job market. We need to bring back godliness. We need to bring back masculinity, physical strength, mental strength. We need to bring back intellectualism. Okay, men need to start being
Yeah.
intellectuals again and stop being weak cowards that just parrot what the fat blue hairs say. Right? We need men to be men again, and we got to call a spade a spade. So, Dr. Stephen Lowe, Ryan Listerman, Adam Revival, like, share, and subscribe. God bless you. Thank you all. Catch us on the next one. Peace.
Amen.